Hey there guys, Quirk here from MiniWarGaming.com to give you another episode of Queued for Battle. I'm here today with Kenny, and we're going to be trying something a little bit different today. We're actually going to be doing a ITC style mission, and prior to doing a battle report, we're actually going to do a nice little review on the armies, go through a breakdown style to give you all the details of the individual units that we're bringing, how they work together, how they work as an army, how they're going to be used in the mission we're playing, and how we're going to kind of have a strategy against our opponent.
Sure.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay.
For this, Kenny's going to be playing his Ultramarines, and by his, I mean ours, and by ours, I mean green and blue. Isn't it like blue and green should never be seen together, ever? Isn't that a rhyme?
Whatever.
Okay. And I'm going to be running some Craftworld Eldar. Now, the list that I'm bringing is actually one of Kris's lists that he's going to be taking to an event coming in September. So this is going to be a chance for us to field test it to see how it does in the ITC format. So without further ado, let's go ahead and check out these armies and start the breakdown. First things first, we're going to take a look at Kris's Eldar list. Now, this is two different detachments. They're both battalions, and they're both going to be using the Craftworld Eldar Fieldcraft, which means that the entire army is going to have -1 to hit from shooting outside of 12 inches, which is kind of handy right there. It also is going to give us a total of 13 command points when we get into the battle, because we've got 2 of them giving us 5 command points apiece, as well as the 3 for being battle forged. The first one's going to have a Autarch Skyrunner, as well as a Warlock Conclave with 10 Warlocks. And then we've also got 3 units of Rangers, 1 unit of 10 Dark Reapers, as well as a Hemlock Wraith Fighter. The other detachment is going to have a Farseer Skyrunner, a Spirit Seer, and 4 units of Rangers. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the individual units and how they're going to function together. First things first, let's go ahead and take a look at the Warlord, the Autarch Skyrunner. Has a base movement value of 16 inches because, well, he's on a bike. He's going to be flying super fast. Weapon skill, ballistic skill 2+, strength 3, toughness 4 because he's on a bike, 6 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 9, and a 3-up save. Has Ancient Doom, Battle Focus, and Path of Command. Now, Ancient Doom is not really going to help me out too much here. I don't think Battle Focus is either, because I've got everybody on a bike and most of my weapons are assault anyway, so I don't have to worry too much about that. But Path of Command is going to be handy because it allows me to re-roll hit rolls of 1 for friendly Craftworld units within 6 inches of him, which is essentially everything. They're all the same Craftworld, which is kind of nice right there. And then on top of that, I roll a d6 each time a command point is spent using a stratagem, and on a 6, I get that command point back, which is quite helpful right there. It also has Peerless Agility, so he's got a 4-up invulnerable save, and Ride the Wind, which means when he advances, he gets to add 6 to that advance instead of having to roll for it. So automatically going 22 inches. So get to fly all over the board. The weapons that he has, he's going to have a Fusion Pistol and a Laser Lance, which are kind of helpful right there, as well as a Twin Shuriken Catapult. Now, the Fusion Gun is Assault 1, Strength 8, -4, D6 damage, and if I'm within half range, so 6 inches, I get to roll 2 dice, picking the highest for the damage. The Laser Lance is a 6-inch range, Assault 1, Strength 6, -4, 2 damage. And then the Shuriken Catapult, the Twin Shuriken Catapult here, is a 12-inch range, Assault 4, it is 12 inches. Oh! Strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage, but each time I roll a wound roll of 4+, it applies a AP value of -3 instead of 0. Now, I kind of had that moment there where I was like, oh, because Kris and I were arguing on whether or not it was 12 or 24-inch range. It is 12-inch range. I owe him like a chocolate bar or something, because he was absolutely right about that. Since he is my Warlord, I'm going to go ahead and give him the Relic, an eye on distant events, which means you can't fire Overwatch when he charges, which is kind of neat right there. And then, oh, sorry, that's the Warlord trait. The Relic I'm going to give him is the Shimmer Plume, which I need to find here really quickly. I've lost it. I lost it! Oh, here we go. Subtract 1 from all hit rolls against this model. So now he's going to be -2 to hit. So he's going to have the Character Armor, which means you can't target him because he's less than 10 wounds. He is a character, which helps out as well. And then he's also going to have -2 to hit. One from being Fieldcraft, and the other one is going to be from the Plume. So good luck hitting him. If push comes to shove, I can spend points on a stratagem to give an additional -1, and I can also go ahead and give him the spell, which gives him an additional -1. So I could, in theory, get him up to -4 to hit. So I'm pretty sure that means unless you're hitting me on 2 or hitting on 2s normally, you can't hit me. Kind of neat right there. So that's going to be it for my Warlord. Let's go ahead and take a look now at the Warlock Skyrunner Conclave. The Warlock Skyrunner Conclave. Now I've gone ahead and made a unit of 10 of these, which was actually Kris's idea. Just to let you know really quick, this is like 800 points. So a little terrified because you do have a couple models on the board that could potentially one-shot them, which is terrifying. Yeah, I see Kenny smiling over there because he knows exactly what I'm talking about. So, talking about the Skyrunners really quickly right here. The Warlocks have a movement value of 16 because they are on bikes. Blitz skill, weapon skill 3+, strength 3, toughness 4, 3 wounds apiece, 2 attacks, leadership 8, and a 4+ armor save. They are all equipped with the twin shuriken catapults, and then I also went ahead and gave them all singing spears. The singing spear has a shooting profile of 12-inch range, assault 1, strength 9, AP nothing, and D3 damage, but it always wounds on a 2+. Which kind of neat right there. And on top of that, we've got the twin shuriken catapult. Again, 12-inch range, assault 4, strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage, but 6s are AP -3. Now, they do have Ancient Doom and Battle Focus. They have the Rune Armor, which is a 4 invulnerable save. They also have Ride the Wind, meaning that their advances are automatically 6 inches. They also have Destructor. So when this unit manifests Smite Psychic Power, it has a range of 9 inches rather than 18. In addition, if the unit consists of 1 to 3 models, and then it manifests Smite, it only deals a single wound. But if it consists of 7 to 10 models, it deals D6 mortal wounds instead. So they are a giant blob of Psychic Boys, going to be running around trying to do some sort of mortal wound damage. It's going to be a little bit difficult because you have 2 Psychers, correct?
Yes.
So I'm going to have to try and deal with them with something, but we'll see what I have to do to deal with that. I don't know. It's going to be tricky because like you got stuff all over the board that can shut that down. It's still going to be 2 dice. It's going to be deniable. And I could still perils and lose guys. So don't want to do that. As for the Psychers, if the unit has 1 to 3 models, it can attempt to manifest 1 Psychic Power in each Psychic phase. If it has 4 to 6, it can attempt to manifest 2 and deny 2. If it has 7 to 10 models, it can attempt to manifest 3 powers and deny 3 powers. The unit knows Smite as well as 2 powers from the runes of Battle Discipline, and I went ahead and gave them Conceal Reveal as well as Protect and Jinx. So Conceal Reveal means that I'm going to be able to eliminate your cover save or give myself -1 to hit. And then Protect and Jinx, I believe Protect is I get to re-roll saving rolls of 1. I'm pretty sure. While I look for that, I'll tell you what Jinx does. It allows me to reduce your your armor save value by 1. So whether it's your regular armor save or your invulnerable save, I'm still able to reduce that by 1. So that means Guilliman's going to have a 4-up invuln if I get that spell off on him. Which is kind of neat right there. Oh, sorry, Protect is add 1 to the saving throws for units within, for the saving throws for the unit until the next Psychic phase. So I can get them to a 3-up invulnerable save if I get that power off. Their job is essentially to be the Mack truck that drives through your army. They're going to be super fast. They do have a short range of only 12 inches, so I'm going to have to get really close to do a lot of the damage I want to do. On top of that, their Smite is only 9-inch range, so if I really want to get some damage in there, I have to get within 9 inches of you, which is a little bit scary because that means you're going to be within range to rapid fire a lot of your stuff. That means you're going to be in range to get melee with them if you really, really want to. And I mean, they do have the singing spears, which in close combat are just always winning on 2+ and D3 damage, no AP value. But I don't really want to get into melee with them, like at all. It's a little terrifying. So that is their job, run around the board, causing some damage. I'm probably going to have them traveling around with the Autarch so that they get to reroll the 1s to hit, which would be quite nice there. And they can almost work like a little bit of a bubble shield for the Autarch if I want to get him close to doing something in melee or doing some damage. I don't know. I'm not sure 100% how to use this list. Kris and I, again, made this list up as we were figuring it out yesterday, and this is what we came up with. It's going to have a few things that I'm going to need to try and figure out, but this is one of the big ones here. I am super terrified of a lot of the weapons that you have, which we'll talk about when we get to your army. And I'm really scared that you're just going to wipe them off the board like turn 1, turn 2, or get me down below 7 guys, which means I'm going to lose a psychic power, I'm going to lose a lot of stuff. It really relies on them staying between 7 to 10 models. As soon as I start dropping to 6 or less, it's the equivalent of getting my damage table removed. So you're really able to cut them down very, very quickly. But that's it for the Warlock Skyrunner Conclave. Let's go ahead now and move on to the Rangers. Rangers. These guys are actually really, really cool. They can qualify as my troop choice, which is why I'm bringing 7 units of them, and also because it's only 60 points for them, which is kind of cool right there. So I'm pretty sure in multiple videos I've said these are the equivalent of the Harlequin Death Jester because they were on par for points for a little while, except these guys are just infinitely better than the Death Jester, and let me explain why. Starting off, they have a movement value of 7, so they can get around the board pretty quick. Weapon skill, blitz skill 3+, strength and toughness 3, 1 wound apiece, 1 attack, leadership 7, and a 5-up save. So they're pretty squishy. They are all equipped with shuriken pistols and ranger long rifles, which are a 36-inch range, heavy 1, strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage. But this weapon can target characters even if it's not the closest enemy unit, and each time I roll a wound roll of 6+ with this weapon, it inflicts a mortal wound in addition to any other damage. So if I spike a couple rolls in there, it might do a little bit of damage, which is quite nice. They have Ancient Doom and Battle Focus. Again, Ancient Doom isn't really going to help me, but Battle Focus might. They also have Chameleon Cloaks, which makes it so that my opponent must subtract 1 from hit rolls against ranged weapons that target this unit. I also get +2 to my save instead of +1 if I'm within cover. Now, if you take that and include it with the Fieldcraft, it means that they are going to be -2 to hit from range shots outside of 12 inches, which is quite nice right there, keeping them a little bit alive. And if I'm able to stick them in cover, that 5-up save becomes a 3-up save, which is also very, very nice. What makes them really, really good, especially in the ITC format, is the Appear Unbidden. Unbidden? Alright, thank you. See, that's why I have someone else in the room. They can correct me on my vocabulary. During deployment, you can set up this unit walking the winded paths of the webway instead of placing them on the battlefield. At the start of the first battle round, but before the first turn begins, this unit can emerge from the webway, set it up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from any enemy models. This is really, really helpful, especially since we're playing ITC. We're going to have a lot of secondary missions, which we will cover after we've done the Army Showcase, and again, get to explain why our armies are built this way. It allows me to get a couple of my secondaries. One of the secondaries is Recon, where I have to have a unit within all 4 corners of the board. This makes it really, really easy to do that because I can deploy Rangers in all 4 corners of the board, and if Kenny is really determined to make me lose those secondary points, he's going to have to dedicate quite a bit of shooting to take out these 5 guys because they've got that natural -2 to hit. It also allows me to get some points for behind enemy lines, which is I need to have, I believe it's 2 units within 12 inches of your deployment zone. Or, sorry, I have to have 2 units within your table edge of your deployment zone. Something along those lines. Essentially, I need to have units in your deployment zone.
At the end of the game.
No, it's at the end of the turn. Because it's secondary points, so we score them at the end of every turn.
Oh, yes.
And up to a maximum of 4, which again, we'll explain once we start to cover that. This is very, very helpful for them because if you don't spread it across the board, it means I'm able to actually deploy them in the table corners, which puts me in your deployment zone. Super, super helpful right there. So they're a very, very good way to get those secondary points early on. And on top of that, it means that Kenny's going to have to dedicate something to taking out something else in a table corner, which is really just a 60-point unit for me, and it means one of his units is not going to be shooting, and it's all kinds of helpful right there. So they are very, very annoying, hence why I brought 7 units of them. Do you have any comments on that one, Kenny? No?
Yeah, great.
Great?
Thank you.
No problem.
I appreciate this.
I feel like you don't, but okay, moving on. So that's it for the Rangers. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Dark Reapers. Moving on, we've got the Dark Reapers. Now, just taking a step back really, really quickly, I did say that Battle Focus isn't going to help me out. I forgot what Battle Focus is. I thought it was for falling back. It just makes it so that if I advance, I can ignore the penalties for moving and firing weapons unless it's heavy. So I actually can get a little bit of a benefit for the bikes because they're going to be able to fly 22 inches and still fire without that -1 for advancing. Sweet! But let's go ahead and talk now about the Dark Reapers. I have 9 Dark Reapers and 1 Dark Reaper Exarch. The Dark Reapers have a movement value of 6 inches, weapon skill, blood skill 3+, strength and toughness 3, 1 wound, 1 attack, leadership 8, and a 3-up save. The Exarch has an additional wound and an additional attack. The Exarch has access to a plethora of different weapons aside from the Dark Reapers, but the one that I went ahead and brought is the Tempest Launcher. It's a 36-inch range, heavy 2d6, strength 4, -2, 1 damage weapon, and I can shoot at stuff that I can't see, which is kind of cool right there. The Dark Reapers themselves have access to the Reaper Launcher with 2 different firing modes. Both of them are 48 inches. One of them is a heavy 1, strength 8, -2, 3 damage, and the other one is a heavy 2, strength 5, -2, 2 damage. So essentially I can make it 3s and 3s to fire at your Primaris, and every wound that goes through is just going to kill one because you are 2 wounds apiece, which is quite helpful right there. They do have Ancient Doom, which is kind of cool right there. They also have Crack Shot, which means that the Dark Reaper Exarch can reroll hit rolls of 1 with its ranged weapon. So again, that's 2d6 shots, hitting on 3s, rerolling the 1s. And on top of that, the entire unit has inescapable accuracy, where models in this unit always hit on 3s when firing a ranged weapon in the shooting phase, regardless of any modifiers. Now, normally in an ITC mission, I'm having to deal with something that has some sort of a negative to hit or a modifier to hit of some kind. But I don't have to worry about that because you are playing the Ultramarines, so there's no modifiers to hit there. But it does come in handy if at any point in time you brought things like flyers or something like a spell that would give you a modifier to hit, or if I was fighting an additional Eldar army that has Craftworld Eldar, I get to ignore that with the Dark Reapers, which is super, super cool right there. And then again, with a 48-inch range, they can essentially shoot from table edge to table edge, lengthwise, widthwise. No, lengthwise. I said it right the first time. Super, super good right there. And then on top of that, they have that 6-inch move, and they get to ignore the moving and firing heavy penalty because they always hit on 3s. So that means that they're going to be essentially having a threat range of 54 inches, which is kind of gross, but also really, really good. They're pretty much just designed to take out big, heavy, scary things because their weapons are strength 8, -2, 3 damage, so they can punch through quite a bit of wounds and armor. Melee, it's very, very helpful right there. But enough about the Dark Reavers. Let's go ahead and talk about the Hemlock. The Hemlock Wraith Fighter. Oh, I like this model a lot. I really do. And I'm also very happy that I stole most of Kris's models because now it's really, really pretty on camera too. So the Hemlock Wraith Fighter is a psychic plane. It's flown by a Spirit Stone. It's kind of cool that way. But has a movement value that degrades over time, but it has at full health 20 to 60, then at medium it's 20 to 40, then at 1 to 3 wounds remaining it is 20 to 25. Weapon skill 6+, with skill 3+, strength and toughness 6, 12 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 8, and a 3-up save. What's kind of cool about this is that it has 2 heavy D scythes, which are range 16, assault D3, strength 12, -4, and 2 damage apiece. Nice little ability on this one, they automatically hit. Yeah, that's pretty good right there. So, it's going to be flying around, shooting stuff with these automatically hitting weapons, which are kind of cool right there. And then for the abilities, it has so many abilities. The first one we have here is Wings of Cain, which is just a giant plethora of text, but in a nutshell it means that I can pivot 90 degrees, move my distance, and then pivot another 90 degrees. So I can fly all over the board, which is kind of cool. I also have Spirit Stones, so every time I suffer a wound or mortal wound on a D6 roll of 6, the wound is ignored. Hard to hit, so my opponent must subtract 1 from hit rolls that target this model in the shooting phase. It also has a Craftworld Eldar, so it's going to be -2 to hit, which is kind of sweet right there. It has the Mind Shock Pod, so units must subtract 2 from their leadership characteristic whilst they're within 12 inches of any enemy Hemlock Wraith fighters. I'm not going to do much for you, because what's your overall leadership again?
11.
Ugh. Yeah, I can go above 10, everybody. So he's got leadership 11. I'm going to be able to drop that down to 9 if you're within 12. I don't think that's really going to matter, because I don't think your units are large enough for me to knock out enough for it to make a difference.
If you killed 4, the last guy could run.
True. It is true on a 6 that you'd have to re-roll, because you're Space Marines.
Yeah, I show no some fear.
I also have Crash and Burn, so when it's destroyed or reduced to 0 wounds, I roll a d6, and on the result of a 6, every unit within 6 inches suffers d3 mortal wounds. It's also airborne, so it can only be charged by units with the fly keyword, and can only be attacked in the fight phase by units that have the fly keyword. I don't think you have anything like that, so I don't have to worry too much about it. But what's kind of cool is that it is a Psyker, and can attempt to manifest 1 psychic power in each psychic phase, and can attempt to deny 1 psychic power in each enemy psychic phase. It knows Smite and 1 power from the Runes of Battle Discipline, and I went ahead and gave it the powers Enhance and Drain. Now, the Hemlock Wraith Fighter can only attempt to manifest the second effect of these psychic powers in the Runes of Battle Discipline. For example, if it knows Embolden and Horrify, it can only attempt to manifest Horrify, which means I'm only going to be able to attempt to manifest Drain, which is I reduce 1 from your to-hit rolls in the fight phase, and it's just I target an enemy unit within 18 inches, so kind of helpful right there. This thing's job is just to fly around the board and cause as much damage as it possibly can with the heavy D-Scythes. Because of the new rules, I can't really claim objectives with it because it does have the fly keyword. It is a flyer, so I can't sit on an objective and claim it, but I am going to be able to harass you like crazy with it and also make it that you really, really, really want to try and shoot this model. So hopefully it survives long enough. Again, we're not sure. I told Kris to bring it. He said sure. I brought it, and now I'm thinking about it going, not 100% sure about this, but we'll see what happens as we get onto the battle in the vault. Now that we've covered everything in the 1st battalion, let's jump over to the 2nd battalion. There's only 2 units here that are different from the other. The first one is going to be the Farseer Skyrunner, one of Kris's very, very nice models that he's converted, which I very much like. It's old. Look how big that jet bike is. You know what it isn't, though? A vehicle, Kenny. It's not a vehicle.
I don't know. I was confident that bikes were vehicles because...
They are not!
They run on motors.
No.
They move.
Alright, so the Farseer Skyrunner has a... Well, he's on a bike, so he's got a movement value of 16, weapon skill, skill 2, plus strength 3, toughness 4, 6 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 9, and a 4-up armor save. I went ahead and gave him the psychic powers Fortune and Executioner. So Fortune is, I believe I get to reroll saving throws of 1. Let me double check that. I know I said I gave him the power, and then I don't know what the power does, right? Yeah, you'd think I'd know. Oh no, whenever I suffer a wound, I roll a d6 on a 5 plus, that wound is ignored, which is kind of cool right there. But Executioner has a cast value of 7, pick an enemy unit within 18 inches of the Psyker, and they suffer d3 mortal wounds. If a model in that target unit is slain as a result of this, the target unit suffers an additional d3 mortal wounds. So if I target a unit that has 1 wound models, I'm just automatically doing 2 d3 mortal wounds, which is kind of cool right there. Nice little plethora of powers. Yes, as Kenny is pointing to his tactical marines. The weapons that the Farseer Skyrunner has built into him is the Shuriken Pistol, the Singing Spear, as well as a Twin Shuriken Catapult. The Shuriken Pistol is just a pistol that's 12-inch range, strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage, and if I roll a 6 to wound, it's AP minus 3. The Singing Spear is the same as it was as on the other Singing Spears, I guess. Strength 9, AP nothing, D3 damage, but always wounds on the 2+. And the Twin Shuriken Catapult is again the 12-inch range, Assault 4, Strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage, but if I roll a 6 to wound, it is AP minus 3. Again, I have Ancient Doom, which isn't going to help me. Battle Focus, which means I'm going to get to advance and still fire my weapons if I didn't advance, which is kind of cool right there. I also have a Ghost Helm, where I roll a d6 whenever this model suffers a mortal wound, adding 3 to the roll if the mortal wound was inflicted as a result of the Psyker suffering perils of the warp, and on a 5+, that wound is ignored. So making him just a little bit more tough, which is kind of nice right there. Also has Rune Armor, giving him a 4 invulnerable save. I now have also Runes of the Farseer, where once in the Psychic phase, I can attempt to reroll any number of dice I use to manifest or deny a Psychic power, making it a little bit more reliable to get that Executioner off to wipe out that tactical squad. Yeah, gonna get rid of that. And finally, I have Ride the Wind, where my advances automatically go 6 inches, so I'm able to go 22 inches and fire my assault weapons, which is kind of cool right there without the modifier. The Farseer can attempt to manifest 2 Psychic powers in each friendly Psychic phase, and attempt to deny 2 Psychic powers in each enemy Psychic phase. It knows Smite, as well as 2 powers, which I've already said are Fortune and Executioner, and they are both powers from the Fate Discipline. Also has the Fieldcraft rule, so again, a -1 to hit, just making it that much more annoying to deal with. Last model in this wonderful army that we've got here is the Spirit Seer. Has a movement value of 7 inches, weapon skill, blood skill 2+, strength and toughness 3, 4 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 8, and a 6+ save. Has a Shuriken Pistol as well as a Witch Staff. The Witch Staff is strength user, AP nothing, 2 damage, but always wounds on a 2+. And again, the Shuriken Pistol is a strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage. 6 to wound are treated at AP 3. Knows Ancient Doom and Battle Focus. Sorry, has the Ancient Doom and Battle Focus ability. Has a 4 invulnerable save thanks to the Rune Armor, and then also has a Spirit Mark, where I can reroll hit rolls of 1 for friendly Craftworld Spirit Host units attacks against enemy units that are within 6 inches of this model. It's kind of helpful right there. The main reason I'm bringing the Spirit Seer is because it can attempt to manifest a Psychic power, and the Psychic power that I gave him was Quicken and Restrain. Not going to use Restrain too much. It's mostly for Quicken, which allows me to move again as if it was the movement phase. Super helpful when you got bikes and bikes and bikes all over the place, which is kind of cool right there. Spirit Seer's main job is just to get models where they need to go, and that's pretty much the reason I brought him. Also, it's another character that could potentially cast Smite, which could potentially do some damage if he's got no one around to give Quicken to. It also helps for getting the Dark Reapers line of sight if I can't move them far enough to get where they need to go. Helps with the bikes if I need to get them to the other side of the board. That's pretty much it. I don't think I'm ever going to use it on the Hemlock. I don't think I can use it on the Hemlocks. I think it only applies to non-vehicle models. But again, I'm not sure, and I doubt I would ever use it. So that's it for all the models in this Craftworld army. So all in all, that's going to be it for this Craftworld army. The total point value of the list is 1,997 points. So I'm 3 points shy of a full 2,000. There's nowhere really for me to find those other 3 points to add into the list, so I'm not too worried about it. But that's going to be it for the army. As you can see, there's a lot of different rules. There's a lot of psychic powers, crazy mobile, so much shooting. It's going to definitely help me out with getting the points that I need to for this ITC mission, because I don't have to worry about things like random cards being drawn, and I get to see what my missions are going to be ahead of time. We're able to actually build the list to accommodate a lot of those secondaries. Now, we do pick 3 secondaries for the mission. I've already picked 2. One of them is going to be recon. The other one's going to be behind enemy lines. That third one I usually leave open because it would depend on what my opponent is bringing, because there's certain ones where it's like, okay, you know, I might have a chance of getting these points if this opponent brings this thing, but I don't like building a list based around that, so I'd rather leave that one open and pick my secondary according to what my opponent is bringing to the battle. We also haven't rolled for which mission type we're going to be doing, but because of the 6 missions that are available in the ITC 2018 mission pack, the mobility of this army, the fact that they can start off on the board pretty much anywhere they want, 9 inches away from enemy models, gives me the opportunity to get where I need to get for those objectives, And the mobility alone will make sure that I'm able to maintain it. The destructive power is going to make sure that I can keep most things off. A lot of the weaknesses in this army are things that are got crazy amounts of wounds. So if it has 10 wounds or higher, or an armor value of essentially 5 or higher, is where I'm going to start having trouble, because a lot of the weapons that I have don't have very strong hitting power. The Hemlock's the only thing that's going to have any real effectiveness for dealing with stuff with a heavy heavy toughness value. A lot of the weapons do quite a bit of damage, but on top of that, I'm looking at a lot of 6s to get those mortal wounds off, to get the AP -3s off. So if things like knights would be a problem, monstrous creatures would be a problem, named characters with a lot of wounds like Magnus could definitely be a problem. I mean, I can put a lot of shots into them, but a lot of these shots aren't going to be doing the damage that I need them to do to make sure I guarantee to take him down. So there are some weaknesses to this army, but for the most part, it should be okay. A lot of my big counters are equal mobility or higher mobility, so things like Harlequins would be able to dance around this list and take out all of my supports and things that I'm relying on for the objectives, because at the end of the day, I'm not playing to table my opponent, I'm playing for points. We are going to be playing this game as if it's an ITC mission, so we're going to be going for max points. So I'm not going to be trying to table Kenny, I'm going to be trying to go for as many points as I possibly can, as if it was a full tournament, just to give you that example. So this list is not designed to kill, it's designed to restrain as an overall build. But that's it for the Craftworld. Now we're going to take a look at Kenny's Ultramarines. Over here we've got Kenny's Ultramarines. So what did they do, sir?
Alright, so in case some of you don't know, the Ultramarines chapter tactic is +1 leadership, and they may fall back and shoot at a -1 penalty. So that's the extent of it. It's nothing exciting. Their stratagem, for example, is just re-rolling ones to hit for a squad, or if it's a tactical squad or intercessors, it's re-roll all failed hits, which, trust me, is not going to matter because I bought Bobby G in the Blue Boy band. So, yeah, my goal here is hopefully to get first turn and use overwhelming firepower to disrupt his entire plan, and then just hold objectives. Because I brought enough objectives secure to make, most people a little envious.
Yeah,
not this guy, but...
Let's say, it shuts down my flare a little bit there, but you've got enough objectives secured here that if we have 6 objectives, you can hold all 6 objectives fairly reliably, actually. So
yeah, not as reliably as dropping on all 6 of them.
Well, still. But all right, let's go ahead and take a look at these individual units and how they're going to work together.
Yeah. So before we get into individual models, which will be in a second, I just wanted to broad sweep this one. The whole army has, and they shall know no fear, because they are all Space Marines, even the Dreadnought. Forgot the S.
The S there.
Plural.
And they shall know no fear makes it so that whenever you fail a morale check, you can re-roll it, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Alright, and let's move on to the man himself, Robite Gulliman. And the reason I call him Bobby G is because I guarantee I pronounced that wrong. So we'll start with his beautiful stat line. He has a 8-inch movement, even in that hefty armor. Weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 2, strength 6, toughness 6, 9 wounds, can't shoot that. 6 attacks, a leadership of 10, and a save of 2 up. He has 2 melee weapons, the Emperor's Sword, which is incredible. It's strength +2, AP 4, damage 3. If you roll a wound of 6+, and he gets to re-roll his failed hits and wounds, which is beautiful. If you roll a wound of 6 up with this weapon, it inflicts D3 mortal wounds in addition to its normal damage, which has won me several games.
I would believe it.
And then his ranged melee weapon, the range portion of the Hand of Dominion, is the 24-inch rapid fire 3, strength 6, AP -1, and damage 2. And the melee portion, which I don't think anybody uses, but is strength ×2, AP -3, and damage 3, with no auxiliary ability.
Still, the straight damage 3 is pretty good.
Oh, the Emperor's Sword also has damage 3, plus the chance, little chance, those delicious mortal wounds. Moving on to abilities, I'm just going to skip the first one because it's They Shall Know No Fear. Armor of Fate. So Gulliman has a... Really, guys? I'm sorry. Has a 3-up invulnerable save. And the first time he dies, you roll a d6. On a 4-up, he revives as close as possible to his current position outside of 1 inch of enemies with d6 remaining wounds, which is pretty neat.
That's really good. You want to save a command point for that for sure.
Yeah. He is the author of the Codex, So as long as he's my warlord, I gain 3 additional command points. By the way, Robotay is my warlord.
Okay.
He is the master of battle. You add 1 to advance and charge rolls for friendly Imperium within 12 inches of Robotay, and reroll hits of 1 and failed morale tests. So actually, I was wrong. The Ultramarines have a 10, or a leadership of 10, and they reroll failed morale tests twice. So sorry, guys. I'm going to get called out on that very quickly. And his last ability, I do not like the name of it, so I'm going to call it Primarch of the 13th Legion instead of 13th Primarch. You can reroll all failed hit and wound rolls of Ultramarines within 6 inches of Robotay. Rabouty.
Robo Girly Man.
Yeah. Bobby G.
So many nicknames.
He's earned them.
Yes.
And that's the long and short of it. He's the linchpin holding this entire shambling army together. That's it. That's the man.
Alright, so a couple of neat things that are really good about him is that first off, he has a wound characteristic of 9, so scooting just underneath that rule, so I can't target him because he doesn't have 10 or more wounds, so he's able to actually keep himself alive with plot armor, just so long as he's not the closest enemy model. I can't shoot him. Obviously my rangers are going to be able to kind of dodge that one a little bit, but my rangers are going to be hitting on 3s, wounding on 5s, and I'm going to be really hoping for those 6s just to cause the mortal wound. Again, you do have those 9 wounds available, so it's going to be a little bit of a pain to cut through that. It also means that I'm going to have a little bit of trouble kind of cutting through all of it, because you've also got the chance of coming back on a 4+, which you can again save a command point for, because you're going to get to reroll it. And on top of all of that, if he's your warlord, that means he has to take the warlord trait for the Ultramarines, which is...
I can't remember the name of it, but whenever you spend a command point, for each command point spent, on a 5-up, you get it back.
Yes. Now, normally for certain ones like this, it's whenever you use a stratagem, or whenever your opponent uses a stratagem, you roll a die and there's a chance you could steal a command point or gain a command point back. This one is just straight up, however many command points you spent, you roll that many dice, and on a 5-up, you get those command points back. So it's a really good system to help you recycle those command points and keep your pool alive, which is quite nice there.
It's very flavorful, which is great.
It is very flavorful. So, all right, so that's it for Bobby G. Let's go ahead and move on to the other units in this army. Next up, we got the captain in Gravis armor. We've jumped over to your battalion detachment now, so...
Yes, we have. So the captain in Gravis armor, he's a little bit slow. He's got that 5-inch movement speed, but he's got a weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 2, like all captains do. Strength of 4, toughness of 5, and wounds of 6, both due to the Gravis armor. Attacks of 5, leadership 9, and a save of 3+. So, onto his weapons, since his stat line is just better than a captain in every way, and for a very small amount of points increase. We're onto the Boltstorm Gauntlet, Boltstorm Gauntlet shooting profile. 12-inch range, it's a pistol with 3 shots, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1, so it's a 12-inch bolt pistol with 2 extra shots.
That's not bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's not great, but it's not bad either. The melee for the Boltstorm Gauntlet is strength times 2, AP -3, damage is D3, but -1 to hit.
Ooh, so that means against... Actually, no, because they would be melee at that point, so unless I go ahead and get things like Drain off, you're still going to be hitting with just that regular -1, which isn't too bad. And with the strength times 2 means you're going to be strength 8 when you're swinging at me.
Yeah.
So you're going to be hitting on 3s most likely, wounding on 2s, cutting through my armor unless I have an invulnerable save, and that D3 damage is just going to completely destroy pretty much anything I got. So that's not bad at all. What do you got for abilities?
Ooh, we still have one more melee weapon, champ.
Oh my!
The Master-crafted Power Sword is just strength user, AP -3, and damage flat 2, rather than a Power Sword's damage of flat 1.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say it's a better choice than the Boltstorm Gauntlet, unless there's some elite that you need to wound on it to. But, onto abilities, skipping the first one as I will be for everything. Iron Halo, so he has a 4-up invulnerable save. He is a captain. Rites of Battle, you reroll hits of 1 made for friendly Ultramarine units within 6 inches. And that's really it. He's good, he's an HQ, and he's cheap. Captains of Gravis armor are value.
It's not bad at all. He's got that nice little bubble of rerolling ones to hit, so if Guilliman's not quite within that 6-inch or 12-inch range for the Imperium keyword, Hey, you never know. You might be spreading out to get the objectives. We are playing ITC, so it's a little bit different than your typical Maelstrom or Eternal War game. So you might actually have to divide and conquer. And in that case, it's nice to have the re-rolling ones to hit, especially when you got things like plasma. So,
and you might, spike real hard on those Rangers, and Gulliman might go to the dirt on the first turn.
that would be really, really nice, but very unlikely.
Yeah.
Very unlikely. All right, so that's going to be it for the captain in Gravis armor. Let's go ahead and move on to your Primaris Librarian. Primaris Librarian.
Primaris Librarian. Look at that. He's got a movement of 6 inches, weapon skill, ballistic skill, both 3 up, strength 4, T4, wounds 5. I know, boring, but I'm going through it anyway. Attacks 4, leadership 10 due to Ultramarines, save of 3 up. Alright. Got through the hard part. Let's go to the weapons. He has a bolt pistol, guys.
Neat.
Pistol 1, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1 at a 12-inch range.
That's not bad.
It's the bolt pistol.
It's a pistol. You're going to be able to shoot it in close combat, right? So.
Yeah. For melee, he has the one option of a 4 sword. Strength user, AP 3, damage D3. Pretty standard. And frag and crack grenades. So I'm going to list these now, and then every point after this when I say frag and crack grenades, you guys already have your information. 6-inch range, because it's a grenade. Grenade D6 on the frag profile. Strength 3, AP 0, damage 1. And for the crack grenades, it's 6-inch range. Grenade 1, strength 6, AP -1, damage D3. So, pretty much every Marine has those. I am noticing now that the captain doesn't, which actually surprises me.
So, he is a librarian, which means he is a psyker. What powers does he know?
So the 2 powers the primary psyker will know are the 2 that I just picked up without looking, and that is Psychic Fortress and Null Zone.
Ooh, nice. So Null Zone is going to be a little bit of a pain, because if at any point in time that guy gets that power off and is within 6 inches of any of the guys I rely on using psychic powers, first off, they won't be able to, which I shouldn't have to worry about, because I can probably just walk out of that zone anyway. But the other side of that is Null Zone also means I can't use my invulnerable saves. Now, most of this army is relying on its invulnerable saves. So, as soon as you take that away, I'm relying on like 6-up armor, which a lot of your guns are going to be able to just completely mitigate. That's a very scary power. So, a little bit terrified of that one. And if you're able to get that off when I get really close, because a lot of my bikes are going to have to get within 9 inches just to get the smites off, it's very easy for you to then walk up the 6 inches, be within 3, fire off Null Zone, now I'm in that bubble, and then you've got everything else in your army, which we will cover, that's just going to rip them apart. So I might lose the Conclave very quickly if I get a little too aggressive with them, which is going to make that Librarian a wonderful little backup plan, and kind of make me want to keep my distance on the off chance you do get that power off. So, nice little thing right there. Anything else you want to add to that?
Yes. All Librarians have Psychic Hoods. So you add 1 to deny the witch tests you take against enemy psykers that are within 12 inches.
Oh, of course. So
not that I expect that to come up too much, but if you come in there for that 9-inch range smite, I have a small advantage over you.
Yes, and the 9-inch range smite is when I have a unit of 7 to 10 going to be doing d6 damage, so now instead of having to roll higher than my casting value, you have to roll equal to it, and that will shut it down, which is a little bit terrifying because I could roll horrible on that roll, and if I roll, for example, a 5, you're going to be able to just go, okay, well, I rolled a 5 on 2 dice and now it's shut down. There I go, I just lost myself a d6 mortal wounds. So that's it for your HQs in this attachment, or do you have more?
That's it for the HQs in the attachment.
All right, we're going to jump over now to the troops.
Great.
Isn't it, though? Yeah, I caught that at the beginning of that clip there. We got some intercessors, right?
So, I tried to make this an all Primaris attachment, so I brought 3 minimum squads of intercessors. They're all the same, so all movement 6, all weapons skill, ballistic skill 3, strength 4, toughness 4, 2 wounds per model, 2 attacks per model. That's 1 more than regular attack Marines on both of those profiles. Or stats.
Yes.
I know. I caught it immediately. Leadership 8 because of Ultramarines, 9 as long as their sergeant is alive, and a save of 3 up. Each of them has a bolt rifle, bolt pistol, and frag and crack grenades. Bolt rifle. Yeah, that's important. The bolt rifle, let me just find it here. Sorry, I can't remember it off the top. I've only used intercessors once before. So its range is 30 inches. It's rapid fire 1, strength 4, AP -1, which is a pretty big deal for basically tactical marines, and a damage of 1. All 3 squads are equipped with auxiliary grenade launchers. So the auxiliary grenade launcher allows you to use one of your grenades per turn at a 30-inch range instead, which I'm sure will come up.
It could be handy. You could fire it off, especially if you fire the crack one at the flyer, get that lucky 5 to hit, and do quite a bit of damage to the flyer. That would wreck my day a little bit.
Yeah, that would be something.
You know what? You might pull it off. It could be really, really good there. So that's a little bit terrifying right there.
I think I'm going to try and use it every turn either way, because the crack grenade is a good profile, but its limiting range is the issue.
Yes. So now that you're going to have a 30-inch grenade launcher firing off those crack grenades, it's going to be able to do quite a bit of damage to my vehicles or any of my multiple wound guys. Again, sorry, my bikes aren't vehicles, so...
Bring that up every time.
Yeah, I am.
It was a mistake, guys. I'm sorry.
The other thing that's kind of neat is that your rifles are 30-inch range, rapid fire 1, so for me to get just within my range to fire my weapons, automatically will put me within rapid fire range of your guns, which is kind of cool right there. I mean, it would technically do it for the 24-inch range ones as well, but it also gives you that nice little bubble of 3 inches where you can have a couple models further back in the unit and still have the 3-inch, I guess, buffer to make sure that the entire unit is within rapid fire doing quite a bit of damage, which is quite nice right there. Do they have any abilities that we need to be worried about?
So the auxiliary grenade launcher is listed as an ability, but it's just equipment. And the only 2 abilities are They Shall Know No Fear and Combat Squads, which Tactical Marines, I think every foot soldier has.
Pretty much. And the way that works is that you're able to, if you have a unit of 10, you're able to split it into 2 units of 5 during deployment. You also have a strategy that you can use partway through the game if you wanted to as well, where you can take tactical squads. I believe it's 1 command point. You can take a 10-man squad and split it into 2 5-man squads later on if that's something you'd like to do. Again, very helpful for breaking off to get objectives, but you are running them in units of 5, so you're not going to be able to combat squad them because there is no equal divide there. You can't split one guy into 2. But that's going to make up 3 of your tactical unit, troop choices right there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the tactical squad. The tactical squad. Again, this is going to be your basic tactical squad like we've seen before.
Yeah, this is the tactical squad. So, regular Space Marine stats here. We got movement of 6, weapon skill, ballistic skill of 3 up, strength and toughness of 4, wounds of 1, attacks of 1, leadership of 9 with Ultramarines and sergeant, and save of 3 up, which, I mean, everybody's seen Tactical Marines.
Yeah, that's nothing new for a lot of players.
Yeah, they all have bolt guns, bolt pistols, frag and crack grenade.
Yep, so the bolt guns are 24-inch range, strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage, rapid fire 1, so if I'm able to get within that 12-inch range, you are within rapid fire, but again, you're not going to get that 3-inch buffer for being 30-inch range, which is kind of annoying, I guess. You got your bolt pistols, again, pistol, 12-inch range, strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage, and then the frag and crack we've already covered. There's really nothing too special about that. They're going to have the They Shall Know No Fear and the Combat Squad abilities.
And that's it.
Yeah, They Shall Know No Fear is probably not going to come into play because your leadership 9, you got 5 guys. If I drop you down to 1 on a 6 re-rolling because you're They Shall Know No Fear, there might be a chance that they run, and then Combat Squad isn't going to come into play because it's only a unit of 5. So not too much going on there. They're essentially just going to be more of an objective grabber for you, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so that's it for all the tactical squads. Or sorry, troop squads. Troop choices. There we go. Took 3 tries, but I got it. Let's go ahead and take a look at your banner. The Primaris Ancient. I call him a banner, but, you know, I don't know what that is.
He is a banner.
It is. The model is 99% banner.
1% gun. Alright, so this banner has a movement stat of 6, weapon skill, ballistic skill of 3, strength and toughness both of 4, wounds of 5. This is a character, and he's kind of beefy. He's got 4 attacks, which is surprising considering.
He's gonna smack you with the banner.
Yeah, he's just gonna bash you with the banner. Never mind, that's not a weapon. Leadership of 9 and a save of 3 up. His equipment is bolt pistol, bolt rifle, frag and crack grenades. Now, what's special about him though is that he is going to have my relic.
Ooh.
And that relic, I believe it's called the Banner of the Emperor Ascendant.
Okay. Which,
Standard of the Emperor Ascendant. I was so close. So that allows him to add 1 to the ability, which I should have read first, so let's go back to that. I'll go back to my relic in a second.
Okay.
Sorry, I had forgotten.
Jumping all over the place there.
Yeah, jumping all over. I'm awful. So, his rule, the ancient rule, is Astartes banner. So, Ultramarine units, I've replaced chapter and everything with Ultramarines. Within 6 inches of a friendly Ultramarines ancient, add 1 to their leadership. In addition, roll a d6 each time a Ultramarine infantry model is destroyed within 6 inches of an Ultramarine ancient. Before removing the model as a casualty, on a 4-up, they muster 1 last surge of strength before succumbing to wounds, so essentially they get to shoot or fight as though it was the shoot or fight phase. Which, I don't know. Oh, 1 attack.
Yeah, you get 1 attack.
You get to shoot with 1 weapon fully, or you get 1 attack.
Yes. So, really, really good for a shooting-based army like yours, because they're going to have everybody within rapid fire. As I slowly start to pick them off, you're just going to start shooting me back, which might actually hurt me a little bit, because it's going to put that threat range in there that I could shoot you and kill you, but on a 4+ before the relic, there's a chance you could shoot me back, which is a little bit annoying. But you do also have that relic, and what does that do for you?
So that adds +1 to the roll when they die, turning the 4-up to a 3-up.
Yeah. So you're going to go from a 50-50 chance of being able to pull it off to a 66% chance every time somebody dies, to being able to shoot at me with one of your weapons, or punch me once in the snoz if you really want to. I doubt very much that my guys are going to try and get into melee. My army's very shooty, your army's very shooty. If stuff gets into melee, one of us screwed up. So,
and really, the biggest... So there's that difference. That's a huge deal for a relic, in my opinion, especially since the relics are kind of lackluster in this book.
Mm-hmm.
But the second part is, while within 6 inches of the bear, friendly Adeptus Astartes in general automatically pass leadership tests.
Oh, nice. Which isn't really...
And enemies lose 1 to their leadership characteristic.
Which probably won't come in too much. It might affect my Warlock Conclave or my Dark Reapers if either of them get super close. Probably the Conclave. Just because it's the one unit I have with at least 10 models, which is higher than the leadership characteristics, so there is a chance they could drop down to a point where that -1 is going to come into effect. On top of that, you've also got the crazy scary banner. So essentially with this list, what we're starting to notice a little bit, we'll see it a little bit more as we cover the last couple units on here, is that you have a lot of target priority stuff for me to deal with. I have Guilliman, which is going to be a pain for me to shoot, which is also going to be a pain for me to kill, because he does have those 9 wounds, he does have that 3-up inbolt, he is ridiculously tough, and he has that 50-50 chance of coming back, which you're going to keep the command point for, which is going to give you like a 75% chance of coming back, which is absolutely disgusting. Then on top of that, you've got your Librarian, who's going to be able to shut down a lot of my psychic powers because he can deny 2. And then on top of that, you've also got Null Zone, which is super terrifying because it's going to eliminate a lot of my defensive powers. I'm going to still rely on the -2 to hit me, but I'm going to very quickly get in range where it's only going to be -1 because it only applies for fieldcraft outside of 12 inches. So once I get within that scary range, you're going to be able to just shut that down with a Null Zone. Now you've also got the banner, which is going to make it so your army is twice as effective. On a 66% chance that I kill something, it will shoot me back. If I'm in range to shoot you, you're probably going to be able to shoot me back. And it can do quite a bit of damage. So a little bit scary right there. And the other thing is that you're going to be able to start shooting at me even if I get turn 1. You're going to have that banner in range, so I start killing your stuff and you start shooting me right back, which is a little bit scary. So you're going to be effective in both player turns. Really, really good right there. So good call on the banner. Target priorities all over the place. Moving on next, we got your gigantic Dreadnought of Scary Awesomeness.
The Redemptor Dreadnought.
Ugh. The Redemptor Dreadnought. Oh, that's a huge model too.
Yeah, he's a big boy. So he does have profiles due to his high number of wounds. So I'm just going to read off the top profile, and then the movement degrades by 2 each step, and the weapon ballistic skill each degrade by 1. So his movement at his highest profile is 8 inches, ballistic skill and weapon skill of 3, strength and toughness both 7, his wounds characteristic is 13, attacks of 4, leadership of 9 because of Ultramarines, and a saving characteristic of 3. So he's got an arsenal strapped to him. We have a heavy onslaught Gatling cannon, heavy flamer, Icarus rocket pod, and 2 Fragstorm grenade launchers, and his Redemptor fist.
Shots for days.
Yeah, he's rolling in bullets right now. So we'll start with the Fragstorm grenade launcher, which he has 2 of. It's a range of 18 inches, assault of D6 per, strength of 4, AP 0, damage 1. It's just a very good infantry killer, especially when your infantry has a 5-up save over there.
5-up save and toughness 3, so you got to be 3s and 3s, just wrecking my day.
Like 5s.
Oh, 5s and 3s, yeah, because it's going to be the -2.
But re-rolling 1s and 2s. Then we have his heavy flamer.
Which doesn't need to hit.
Yeah, what a coincidence, is a heavy flamer. Range of 8 inches, heavy D6 shots, strength of 5, AP -1, damage 1, and it's a flamer, so it automatically hits its target, which is really good. I made this list without knowing what was happening, and the heavy flamer is very effective at what I needed to do, which is hitting.
Now, to save myself a little bit of grief here, because I might get some commenters commenting here, you did know we were playing ITC.
I knew we were playing
Okay.
ITC. I knew that.
Okay.
I didn't know that you were playing Eldar.
No.
I did not know what my opponent was playing.
No. Trying to get me in trouble.
No, I'm just... I may have just misspoke.
Alright, so
And
you
I
got the
also
heavy
want you to get in trouble. So we're on to the heavy onslaught Gatling cannon. This is this model's bread and butter. So this is a 30-inch, heavy 12, strength 5, AP -1, damage 1 monster. This is a 12-shot heavy bolter.
Woof.
So
It's going to be ripping shots for a lot of my stuff.
yeah, that's the strength 5 is usually a big deal. In this situation, it's not super important, but oh yeah, it is. The bikes are toughness 4.
They are toughness 4.
So, still coming into play, still important. Still a great weapon, and it's just the stock weapon he comes with. Moving down the list, Icarus rocket pod. So, I hardly ever see this come into play. Icarus weapons are pretty wonky.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a 24-inch rocket pod, heavy D3 shots, strength 7, AP 1, damage 1. But you add 1 to hit against models that have fly, and subtract 1 against models that don't. So that means hitting, or mitigating one of your -1 to hit on your Hemlock or your bikes. Bikes have fly, right? Yeah, they do. Look at them. They have the flying bases. So it's actually important that I have that rather than usually not very good, hitting on 4s, re-rolling 1s and 2s. Icarus weapons are always weird to bring.
Well, it's definitely going to come in handy for you because a lot of the important stuff that I have does have the fly keyword, like the Warlock Conclave, my Altark, my Farseer. They're all going to be on bikes. My Hemlock's going to be flying around, so you're going to be able to mitigate a lot of the negatives that I have to hit because you're Icarus.
Yeah, which I just hardly ever... It hardly ever functions. My Knights have similar weapons, and that hardly ever comes up either.
Yeah.
And his last weapon is his Redemptor Fist. It's strength times 2, AP -3, D6 damage, no drawback.
Whoa. Whoa, that's gross. So he's going to be able to just grab something and crush it every time he punches at something.
And this large gentleman has one rule, and one rule only, and that's that he might explode.
So when he's reduced to 0 wounds, roll a d6 on the result of a 6.
It is a 6.
Everything within d6 inches? Or is it
Flat 6.
Flat 6. Oh, everything within a flat 6 takes how many
D6 mortal wounds.
Kill him in your zone.
Which is a larger explosion than most models of that wound characteristic have.
Yeah, so he's just a big guy with a huge fuel tank. Alright, so now we've got this giant scary model on the board. This is one of the models that I'm a little bit scared of having to deal with because it has so many wounds that I'm going to have to try and cut through it. It's got so much firepower that I have to pay attention to it, and it's another priority target, which means it's something else that I have to try and split my fire up into to try and deal with, or it becomes one of the models that I have my entire army focus on one of the turns to try and get rid of. Either way, it's something that I can't just ignore. There are always models in everybody's army that you can just straight up ignore. This is definitely not one of them. It's got the Icarus rockets, Icarus cannon?
Icarus rocket pod.
I think Icarus rocket pod, which is going to be able to just rip apart all my guys with fly, which is going to be my Conclave, which is the giant 800-point unit that's supposed to be saving the day here. It's going to be able to do some damage to my Hemlock, which is again one of my better models for dealing with the heavier models out there because it's strength 12. If you're able to rip that out of the sky, suddenly I don't have anything in my army that's going to be able to do wounds on you with anything better than a 5+, except for the models that I have that do wounding on 2+ automatically, but those don't do enough damage or reliable AP to cut through your armor. So, if you take out that Hemlock, that model's going to be able to just go on a little bit of a rampage through my army, which is going to cause quite a bit of problems. So, All right, now that we're done with this is the battalion detachment?
Yes.
So now we have another detachment we're going to take a look at. Next up we have is this a...
Spearhead.
Ooh, leading the charge, we've got your librarian.
So, this is just a regular librarian. Movement of 6, weapon skill, ballistic skill 3, strength, toughness 4, wounds 4, attacks 3, leadership 10, Ultramarines, save of 3 up, and he has a 4-staff, bolt pistol, and frag and crack grenades. So,
The 4-staff is the only one that's different there.
that is the only one that has not been covered, and that is strength plus 2, AP minus 1, and D3 damage, which is a pretty decent profile.
Yeah, it's going to put you up to strength 6, which means you're going to be wounding most of my guys on foot on 2s. Blah.
Beautiful. So he has a psychic hood, much like the other librarian. He has no jump pack. Didn't pay for that. Too expensive. And his psychic powers are Null Zone and Might of Heroes.
Oh my! So Null Zone again, there's another one that's going to be a priority for you to have to deal with because now you've got 2 of those Psychers running around the board, able to just completely shut down my ability to use an invulnerable save. And then Might of Heroes can make just a regular Space Marine character an absolute beatstick, and if you put it on Guilliman, he just becomes amazing. Amazingly terrifying.
I could also put it on the Dreadnoughts.
Oh, you could too. Oh. Alright, so what does Might of Heroes do?
Alright, so Might of Heroes has a warp charge value of 6. Very easy to get off. You just choose an Adeptus Astartes model within 12 inches. Until your next psychic phase, they get +1 strength, toughness, and attacks. So that would put Guilliman up to a hefty 7, 7, and 7, respectively.
Gross. Alright, so able to cast 1 power or 2?
Regular librarians cast 2
Alright,
and
so
deny 1.
Alright, so you're able to stop one of my powers, casting 2 at the same time if you feel like it. Otherwise, just another priority model that I have to deal with because you have another Null Zone on the board. I hate that spell so much.
Always bring 2, folks.
Yep, redundancy is key. So, moving on from your librarian, we're going to take a look now at your Hellblasters.
Oh, yeah.
We got the Hellblasters, everybody. The auto includes when you bring a Guilliman.
Oh, yeah. So, Hellblasters. Their movement 6, weapon skill, ballistic skill 3, strength and toughness of 4, 2 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 9, with the sergeant, and save of 3 up.
So pretty much just your typical Primaris Marine.
Just like the Intercessors, where they differ, however, is these beautiful plasma weapons they have. So their plasma incinerators are range 30, rapid fire 1, strength 7, AP minus 4, damage 1, and their supercharge profile is exactly the same, but strength 8, damage 2, and like all plasma, if you roll a 1, that's a dead guy.
So you do have to be a little bit leery when firing them at my stuff because of the modifiers that I have to hit. So if you start shooting at my guys that have -1, it means every roll of a 1 or 2 is just a dead guy. If you fire at my guys that are -2, it's every 1, 2, or 3. And on top of that, I do have stratagems I can fire off at any given time. When you decide to fire at a unit, after you've declared if you're overcharging or not, I can go ahead and say, well, I'm going to spend command points here to make them additional -1 to hit. So I could make it where you almost can't hit me, but have a better chance of just killing yourself. So a little bit scary right there, but thankfully you do have Guilliman on the board who can let you re-roll those 1s.
And 2s.
And 2s, yes, the 1s and 2s.
And what's important is that your army is paper thin.
Oh, yes. Yes, so,
So I don't need to supercharge that much.
No, so any one of those shots that you don't supercharge is still going to be able to hit me on 3s without the modifiers. Wound on probably 2s for the most part if it's my foot soldier guys. So
And then 3s and maybe 3s on the Hemlock? I don't actually know its toughness.
I
Probably,
believe it's
it looks like a 7.
I think it's toughness 6 actually, so you're going to be able to just cut right through that. So yeah, I don't think there's anything in my army aside from the Hemlock that you're going to be wounding on anything worse than a 4. So keep that in mind. But you've got 2 units of these Hellblasters, so you're going to have a little bit of redundancy right there. That means you're going to have 10 of these things rapid firing for 20 plasma shots if you really wanted to. That's going to wreck my day. Okay, so we've got obviously Spearhead, so there's going to be 1 more heavy support, or are these elite?
Oh, this is a heavy.
This is a heavy. Alright, so we've got 1 more thing to take a look at. This is a model that I'm very proud of because it's mine, and I'm also regretting pointing it out to Kenny because now he's going to get to use it. And this is the one model that I am super scared of because it is going to very easily cut through my Warlock Coven. Let's take a look at it. And that is, of course, the Leviathan Dreadnought. Sorry, we're playing 40k. The Relic Leviathan Dreadnought. All right, what does this guy do?
All right, so this monster has profiles as you would expect. At his top profile, he's a movement of 8 inches, weapon skill and ballistic skill of 2 because he's a contemptor. He's got a strength and toughness of 8 and 14 wounds to boast about. Strangely, he's got 2 attacks, and I'm pretty sure that's just left slap, right slap. Leadership of 9 and a save of 2 up. Contemptor dreadnoughts are strong. His weapons are a grav flux bombard, 2 heavy flamers, 1 hunter killer missile, and a storm cannon array. So the grav flux bombard, this is a big issue for your army. This is a 18-inch heavy D3, strength 9, AP 5, damage 2 weapon. If the target is a monster, vehicle, or Titanic, the damage it deals is flat 5 instead. And for every 5 models in a unit, that's an additional D3 shots. So against that bike squad, that's a 3D3 gun.
And against my Dark Reapers as well.
Oh, yeah. But the Dark Reapers, if I get them within 18 inches, you're in a terrible position.
Oh, I know. I'm aware. I am aware, sir.
So he's got 2 heavy flamers, which you guys can clearly not see under his chest here.
I didn't put them in.
Oh, it's supposed to be a 30k model, so he's got weapon options in 30k, but in 40k, his undermounted weapon is not really selectable. So it is 2 heavy flamers. They're just standard heavy flamers. He has 1 hunter killer missile. That's a 48-inch range, heavy 1, strength 8, AP minus 2, damage D6, but it can only be fired once per battle. And now for the storm cannon array, which Quirk was very vocal about. This is a 24-inch heavy 10, strength 7, AP minus 2, damage 2. That's it. It is an elite killing machine.
Goodbye, Warlock Conclave.
He's got some rules to boast about too. I love rules. Reinforce automatic barrier. So regular Contemptor Dreadnoughts have a 5-up invulnerable save. This model has a 4-up invulnerable save. That's right. 50-50 saves against whatever you got.
Okay.
He has smoke launchers. So smoke launchers are once per game instead of shooting your weapons, because I'd ever not shoot my guns. You can give your opponents -1 to shoot this model until the next shooting phase. Yeah. And the relic rule. So you can only bring 1 relic in each detachment. That's the whole rule. It's a very long rule.
It's so much text, but essentially all it says is you can only bring 1 of these per detachment. But.
Oh, you also gain access to a stratagem, which I did not know.
Oh.
And I don't know what it does. So that's wonderful. I do not have that stratagem. That was easy.
All right, fair enough.
All right, and
I'm pretty sure it also explodes. Does it have the same explosion?
Oh, that's a good point. It actually explodes on a 5-up and has a 6-inch D6 explosion.
Gross. Any other rules we need to be aware of for this model?
Or 9-inch D3 explosion. Wow, I misread that terribly.
Oh, okay. So that's going to be it for everything in your army, I believe?
Yeah, we got my Warlord trait, my Relic,
Yeah.
and all my boys.
Yeah. All right, so we've covered everything. Let's go ahead and take a look at the army. Alrighty, so now that we've seen both of our armies, let's talk about the actual mission that we're going to be playing today. We are playing the true 2018 ITC mission set, which means that we're going to have our primary missions, so one that we can score at the end of all of our turns, and then one that we score at the end of the battle rounds. The way this works is, at the end of your turn, if you hold an objective, you score a point, and if you killed an enemy unit, you score a point. And then at the end of the battle round, if you hold more objectives than your opponent, you score an additional point. If you kill more units than your opponent, you score an additional point. Ties, no points are scored for either person. And then on top of all of that, each mission has a bonus objective. Now, depending on which mission we roll to get, it's going to change. It could be things like hold all the objectives on the board, hold more objectives than your opponent, hold these 2 specific objectives, hold this area of the board. It changes depending on the mission that we're playing. It's just the way the ITC works. Along with that, we've also got our secondary missions. Now, this is one of those things that I was talking about when I was going through my army. It is the missions that I kind of pre-planned with my army, and the way this works is there are 12 of them, and we pick 4 before the game starts. Now, I've already explained what 2 of mine are, but we'll go through them really quickly. The way this works is that you can score a maximum for secondaries of 4 points during the game. So each of the 3 that you pick has a maximum score of 4. If you start scoring more than that at the end of turn 5 or 6 or however many that you get, those are just lost points. You're not going to get anything for them. The first one we have here is Headhunter. You score 1 point for each enemy character that is destroyed. This would be a very good one for you to pick because I have a plethora of characters, whereas you have 5. So the next one we have here is Kingslayer, where you choose one enemy character and you earn 1 point for every 2 wounds that you do as damage. These are cumulative. You also, for instance, when the character regenerates wounds throughout the course of the game and then they lose them again, you still get to count those towards the total wounds that are lost. If the model that is a character is also a vehicle and or a monster, you earn 1 point for every 4 wounds it loses. Now these are also cumulative with the 2 wounds on top of that. So if you do 4 wounds in total, you're actually scoring 3 points because the 2 points that are cumulative and then as well as the 4 points on top of that. Finally, if the enemy character is the enemy character selected for Kingslayer may not also gain points for the Titan Slayer special rule, which is not a huge deal there. But the one that I missed here is that if your opponent's character that you chose is his Warlord, you score an additional point for killing him. So, for example, if I was to pick Reboot Gruliman, I would score quite a few points by killing him because he can regenerate them as well. But it's a good chance for me to get some points there. Whereas if you were to go after my Warlord, I think you would max out at 3 points because I have my Warlord and I have a total of 5 wounds. So you only get the 2 wounds per point, 2 wounds per point, and then slaying the Warlord would give you the 3rd one. So not a good option for you there, and I don't really have any other characters that are going to help you out too much. Next one that we have here for secondaries is the Reaper. Earn a point every enemy unit that you destroy in the game that has 10 or more models. If the unit has 20 or more models, you score 2 points. Neither of us should pick this one because all of your units are only 5 models, and I only have 2 units that have 10 models, so you'd max out at 2 points on that one. So that is a terrible one for either of us to pick. The next one we have, this is one of the ones that I automatically am going to pick right off the hop. It is Recon, where you have a unit at least partially in each table quarter at the end of your player turn. A unit may only count as being on the table quarter at any time for the purposes of this rule. You score 1 point per turn. So essentially you divide the table up into 4 quarters. If you have a unit in each of those 4 quarters, you get a point. That's one of the ones I'm going to take because I do have the
7 squads of Rangers.
Yes, thank you. Next one we have here is Big Game Hunter, where you score 1 point for every enemy model with 10 or more wounds that is destroyed. Again, probably not a good one for either of us to take because you only have 2 units in your army that have 10 or more, and I only have the one that has 10 or more. So you'd max it at 1 point, I would max out at 2. Probably not the biggest option right there. Next one we have is Titan Slayer. For every 8 wounds lost by an enemy unit with the Titanic keyword throughout the course of the game, you earn a point. Neither of us have anything with the Titanic keyword, so that's not going to help us out. Finally, we have Behind Enemy Lines. This is another one of the ones that I like to take, where you score 1 point at the end of your turn if you have 2 or more units at least partially within 12 inches of your opponent's rearmost longest board edge. Long way of saying pretty much have 2 units in your opponent's deployment zone, you score a point. Again, very easy for me to claim when I have my Rangers deploying in my opponent's deployment zone. So definitely one I'm going to take right there. We have 3 left here. The next one is Death by 1,000 Cuts. Earn 1 point for every 3 enemy units destroyed in the battle round. That might be a good one for you to take just because I do have a good number of units, and it also keys in with characters as well. So if you kill a character, that counts towards the Death by 1,000 Cuts. The tricky part for it, though, is that you only get it if you kill 3 units in a battle round. So that's a little bit difficult right there. Finally, we have Old School. Now, this is probably the next one that I'm going to take, but you score 1 point for each of the following. First Strike, just kill an enemy unit in the first battle round. Slay the Warlord, kill the enemy Warlord at the end before the end of the game. Line Breaker, have one of your models within your opponent's deployment zone at the end of the game. And Last Strike, which is an enemy unit is destroyed in the last battle round played. Now, it does say the last battle round played, which does come into effect for some of the extra special rules for ITC, which is if your opponent concedes, they could be, some people consider that it's a way that you're going to lose out on those points. No, because it's the last battle round that you played. Did you kill something? Yes, even if it was on turn 2, you killed something, you're still going to score because that was the last battle round that both players actually took part in. And finally, the last one that we have here is Gangbusters. Select an enemy unit consisting of multiple wound models. Earn 1 point for each of the following. Each enemy model chosen in the unit destroyed with a wound characteristic of 5 or more, you score a point. And for every 2 enemy models chosen in a unit deployed with a wound characteristic of 3 to 4. Again, that's probably not going to be one that either of us take because, actually, you know what? The Conclave might get you some points with that one, because I believe each of the Conclave Warlocks are 3 wounds. I believe, anyway. I can't remember, even though I just said it, but it might be a good option for you right there. So, as you can see, we do have to play into these secondaries as well. But now for the all-important thing, before we go ahead and jump into the vault and start playing this game, we have to roll for our scenario. So, Kenny, you're right next to the dice. Would you like to grab a die for me and roll it right around this area here so we can see which one it's going to be?
Sure. Dips 3.
We got one. Seize ground. All right, so the deployment is random. We have 6 objectives placed all over the board in a particular pattern. The way this is going to work is there are 1 in all 4 of the table, center of the 4 table quarters, and then 2 in the dead center of the board that I believe are 12 inches apart, something like that. So, nice little thing right there. The bonus to this one is that if a player holds or contests 5 or more objectives at the end of their player turn, they gain that bonus point. So it's another one of those things where I'm really happy with myself because I am a very fast army. I'm able to get to the objectives as I need to, so it's going to be very easy for me to jump on all 4. It's ultimately very easy for Kenny because a lot of his models have the objective secured special rule, so all he has to do is get within range and he's going to mitigate a lot of my guys that do not have objective secured. So, now that we've seen the armies, we've seen what game we're going to play, we know each other's strategies, we're going to jump into the vault, set up the board, and get ready for this awesome battle. Do you have any closing remarks before we jump into the vault?
I need first turn, please.
You definitely do. You are definitely going to need first turn, because if you don't get first turn, you're going to have to deal with a lot of my psychic powers protecting me. I really need first turn because I really need those psychic towers to protect me, and then on top of that, I'm super scared of some of those dreadnoughts you have. I'm terrified of them, but we'll see what happens as we go into the vault. Guys, a reminder before we jump off and end this video, for anybody out there who's not already a vault member, go ahead and click that link below. You'll get access to a 7-day free trial where you can see this wonderful battle between Kenny and myself, the Ultramarines versus the Craftworld Eldar Altiak. I don't know if I can keep that title going, but I'm going to pretend like I can. As well as all the extra stuff that we have in the vault, like additional battle reports, behind the scenes, open vaults, painting tutorials, funny videos, and just a ton of extra stuff for you there. So, guys, I would definitely recommend checking out the vault if you haven't already. It's a 7-day free trial, definitely worth it. And then again, on top of that, you're going to see this new version of Queued for Battle. Make me feel good about myself, guys. Show me that this is definitely the kind of video you guys want to see. But anyway, as always, thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the vault, and happy wargaming.